This year, well, now it's 2021. I played it a lot starting in spring of 2020, and then I played it a bunch again in the fall, kind of like late fall, early winter of 2020. It was just, okay, we're in quarantine times. We can't go to other people's houses. I can't go to offline locals. What games do I enjoy that I can play from home? It's not a long list. There's a lot of games that I think are great, but like which games in particular do I really enjoy that have really good online play? And yeah, honestly, not a long list. So I already enjoyed MK11, great online play. I'm going to stick with that. I really enjoy Street Fighter V. As much as we rip on the online play, it could be better. It's not perfect. It's not nearly as good as some, but it's also like a lot better than others. So I kept that on the team. KI was the other one. Great game, really enjoy it. Great online play. It's one game where you cannot autopilot, right? Like this is not a game for autopiloting. I think part of the difficulty of picking it up is that just about every other game is autopiloting once you land a combo. There's really only a couple of exceptions other than KI. So we're used to, as fighting game players, you find a hit, cool, into combo. You know, you have a thing that you do, and maybe you're trying to decide, like, should I end in up close pressure? Should I end in a standing reset? Like, you have decisions to make sometimes, in some games at least. In many games, it's not even like that. It's just like you find your route, you do the combo, you end as you always do. So we're used to that, but KI doesn't let you do that. You can't take time off in KI. There's no mental downtime in KI, which I think is part of what I love about it, but is also part of why it's difficult to play. Hey, when the game first launched, I didn't get it. I grew to really enjoy it. Obviously now I really enjoy it, but when it first came out, I made fun of it because I thought that the mix-ups of combo routes were just a kind of coin flip situation, and I ripped on that. And I didn't like the idea that my like neutral play or my like traditional mix-ups, you know, ultimately were kind of devalued a little bit by the fact that if I did land a hit due to like I have like the best footsies, I got sick footsies, and I land a hit because of that, I wanted that to matter. I wanted that to be like the thing that counts, and as a result I do damage. But this was a very limited view, and I think I just was in my I believed too much that certain things were more important than others in fighting games, and I minimized some of the others, and I think I didn't analogize very well yet. My thinking about fighting games, I think, just wasn't mature. So like, why is it better to do a mix-up out of a combo than in a combo? I don't know. Eventually I was like, I'm not are these different? Like, is it different to do a mix-up in a combo versus a mix-up where it's like a command grab or not? Like, why is that different? And it's not. It's not different. It's just I wasn't used to the KI style. And once I thought about it, not as combos being guaranteed damage, which they are again in almost every fighting game, but rather just a continuation of mix-ups, I've thought differently about the game, and I've really enjoyed it ever since. In every other game that I played, at most, there was like a single combo breaker mechanic that you could use, you know, once, maybe twice per game, something like that. That's what I was accustomed to. So when this game came out, yeah, I just wasn't thinking about it right. Like I said, I don't think that I was mature in fighting game thinking yet. And this game came out when I was probably 29 or 30. Like, I feel like I wasn't really thinking about fighting games well until, you know, mid-late 20s probably. And I'm sure there are still changes that will come in the future for me too. Just exciting. I'm excited to like realize in the future that I was wrong about stuff. I think that's a super cool thing to look forward to. And one of the things that I also really enjoyed about this game is that it lets you do such powerful feeling stuff. One a big part of that is counter breaker and combo breaker, but especially counter breaker. You just feel like such a god when you do that. For a while, I loved Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. That was my main game for some years in the mid-2000s. I loved that game. Then I went through this phase of hating it, and I think that was In part because I played one of the trash cans of the game in queue. Probably not a great call. So I was sick of losing, I think. But also, I began to think that it was too guess heavy. That the parry made it too guess heavy. And it's not like you parry constantly in that game. That's not what top level play is. You're not guess parrying all the time, or even that super often. But I think that I felt that guessing was silly. And I didn't want to guess in a fighting game. And so for a while I was like mad about parrying, and I didn't want to do that. And I think that was the same mentality when this game came out. And for a while I hated Marvel 3, in part because it was... each guess was so impactful. Like, you could lose a whole character with one wrong guess. Pretty common to do. But later on I realized that everything about fighting game is guessing. When you're in neutral, if you're playing the most fundamental, grounded, no frills footsies game, you're taking guesses constantly. You are constantly putting a button out, hoping to goad the opponent into some bad position, and then hoping to capitalize. You're constantly guessing that they're about to do a thing. You're constantly guessing that this is the time. And in fact, that's just human competition in general, right? Like, if you're playing chess, you're guessing that the opponent's going to do some stuff. I mean, you know, you have a lot of theory behind it, but ultimately it is a guess. That's just what competition if you're playing hockey and you want to try to deke around the defender, you got to guess that they're not going to be looking for you to go one way or the other. If you're trying to shoot at the goal, you got to guess that they're not going to be looking for you to shoot at one spot. If you're the defender, you have to guess that the forward or whoever it is going to go in one direction or the other. Like, you are constantly guessing in competitive games, because it's you versus another human being who also can think, so you have to guess. And I guess once I realized that, I was less mad about each individual guess, and I could kind of enjoy them more and realize that they are fundamental to competitive play and that there was no escaping from them. And yet I still had a lot of fun. So in games where guessing can be powerful, like games that have parries, third strike, games that have combo breaker or counter breaker, like in KI, I grew to eventually feel the opposite, that I really enjoy them, actually, because that lets me express myself as a player. Do I want to be risky? Do I want to take a lot of guesses or a few guesses? It's not zero. It can't be zero. Do I want to do a lot or a few? I have all these choices that I really enjoy. Sometimes when I hear people say, and when I think back on my own thoughts about why one game is better than another, it's me viewing them as being too limited. I had too limited a view of what could be cool and fun and strategically interesting. Okay, well, that's going to be that. I'm going to get out of here. See ya.